ovulation is crucial regardless if you want to get pregnant, and it's when an egg is released from your ovary and takes place 13 to 15 days before your next period. Now, the reason why ovulation is so important is because it helps make sure that you're producing progesterone. This is the hormone that is rising after ovulation, also known as your luteal phase, and it's responsible for helping with your mood, your fertility, calming your central nervous system, helping prevent estrogen dominance, and also helping with your heart health and bone health. It's important to know that you can still occasionally have a period, but also not ovulate. This is due to the collapse in the uterine lining that occurs after months of buildup. Anovulation, which is when you are not ovulating, actually occurs in approximately 5.5 to 12.8% of menstruating women. Now, to know if you are not ovulating and you have an ovulation, you may have had struggles with trying to conceive or have abnormally long or short cycles. It may even have variability in your menstrual flow. So some periods are really light and some are really heavy. The good news is that your body gives you signs to know that you are ovulating, which we are going to get into. During ovulation, your body produces this distinct cervical mucus that helps sperm swim up through your cervix to fertilize the egg. Unlike your vagina, your cervical mucus is actually very alkalizing, which is going to help keep the sperm nourished and surviving throughout the journey to fertilization. Now, the discharge you'll want to look for is a raw, slippery, egg-white consistency that you can stretch apart between two fingers. So think slippery, think stretchy, and also very clear. The most interesting thing about cervical mucus is how much hormones play a role when it comes to the texture. So when estrogen is at its peak, there's gonna be a lot of increased wetness because the main role of estrogen is to keep your vaginal lining moisturized and to also help with lubrication. This is also a reason why a lot of women in menopause struggle with vaginal dryness. It's because their estrogen is so low. Now, after ovulation, which is when progesterone is the main hormone, you should notice that your cervical mucus is a bit more sticky and also more dry. If you notice that it's the exact same as ovulation, this could be an indicator that you have a hormone imbalance, typically estrogen dominance. BBT is short for basal body temperature, and it's something else that you want to track to confirm ovulation. Basically, BBT tracking is where you use your morning resting basal body temperature to confirm if you've ovulated. So typically when you're tracking your basal body temperature, you'll notice that your temperature is lower before ovulation, it rises slightly during ovulation, about 0.5 to 1 degree Fahrenheit, and then stays risen for 3 consecutive days after ovulation. This is a very reliable cue and highly recommend if you are trying to confirm if you've ovulated. Now, if you are someone who loves to nerd out on hormones like me, you will probably be interested in knowing why your temperature changes throughout the month, and it's because of, surprise, hormones. So progesterone is actually a heat-endorsing hormone. So after you ovulated, this is when progesterone is the main hormone, and so this is why you are seeing an increase in temperature. When it comes to learning how to record your BBT, you just need to follow these 2 steps. So step number 1, you'll just need to make sure that you get a basal temperature thermometer and that it measures by the hundredths. So 97.56 instead of 97.5. You can also invest in a femtech device as well. Step number 2, you'll also want to make sure that you place it on the nightstand so it's only in arm's reach to get it, as is a resting temperature. So you do not want to be getting up out of bed when you are taking it, and when you take your temperature in the morning, you want to make sure it's right below your tongue. It's also important to be aware of the factors that can get in the way of having an accurate reading. So interrupted sleep cycles, lots of stress, maybe you're on a medication, maybe you had less than 3 hours of sleep the night before, or you've been drinking alcohol the night before. All of these things can get in the way of having an accurate reading. Now, this next method is for more of my advanced girlies, as it does involve inserting 2 of your fingers in your vaginal canal. And this is when you are checking your cervical positioning, as your cervix does change throughout the entire month. So because most of us have went to a school that probably failed in sex ed, I'm just gonna give you a brief overview of what your cervix is and why it's important. So your cervix is basically the passageway that connects the uterus to your vagina. And this is going to be really important because it helps keep unwanted bacteria out, it opens to let sperm enter, and it also assists with lubrication. Understanding what position your cervix is in is going to be crucial for understanding when you are in your fertile window. So during ovulation in particular, you're going to notice that your cervix is much higher and it may feel out of reach. It's going to be soft, so it may feel similar to lips. It's going to be open, so that's going to be making sure that sperm can enter. So when you check your cervical positioning, you obviously want to make sure your hands are washed and that you insert 2 fingers into your vaginal canal, but you also want to make sure that you check in the same position every single time. This is the most important part of it. So if you are squatting, make sure you do that every time. If you're sitting on a toilet, if you have like 1 foot on the edge of your bathtub, these are all ways to check, but you want to make sure that's just consistent. Another way to track ovulation is to use ovulation predictor kits, also known as LH strips. These help detect if an increase in LH occurs before ovulation, which essentially means you peak fertility. And this is really important if you are trying to get pregnant, as this is when you're gonna wanna start having intercourse before ovulation, because the sperm do end up waiting in your fallopian tube for about 5 days waiting for that egg to release. If your LH strips are consistently negative, this is basically a sign you are not ovulating. Lastly, let's go over what you may feel during ovulation. So some women may feel a sharp twinge on one side of their abdomen. This is when the egg has been released. This should not be super painful, but again, a sharp twinge is common. It's not a big deal. It's also called Mittelschmerz. Mittelschmerz. You may notice some spotting. This occurs in about 10% of women, and you also will probably notice feeling more motivated, strong, sensual, higher libido. All of this is because of the increase in estrogen that occurs and the spike in testosterone, which is the libido hormone. It's also known for increasing motivation too. Overall, there are so many ways to track ovulation, and I hope you guys take what you've learned and really implement in real life, not only to ovulate for your health, but also to maybe get pregnant or to even avoid pregnancy. Something else to note about what we've learned here is that your fertile window is actually 7 days, while ovulation is only 1 day. So a lot of these signs you may notice for 7 days. Cervical mucus is one of them, cervical positioning, and also a higher libido. So your fertile window is 5 days for ovulation, the day of ovulation, and also the day after ovulation. So something to note, especially if you are trying to avoid pregnancy or if you are trying to get pregnant. If you guys found this video useful, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more videos just like this one, make sure to smash that subscribe button. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye guys.